Hi everyone, I'm Vicky of Bondatrix. I have a YouTube channel with lots of how-to videos all about BDSM. Some of them are more on practical techniques on how to use various pieces of equipment, and some of them are more about all the various things around play, like going to clubs. This one today is the second video that I've done more about aging and BDSM. So this isn't about any kind of age play. This is more about getting older and how that affects your BDSM life. The other video is all about the perimenopause and menopause, so that goes into a lot of details about that. So I'm not going to touch on that in this video, even though this one is about how getting older will affect your BDSM play, because there's an entire other video you can watch on my channel going into lots of details about that and ways to adapt your play so that you can still have a great time with BDSM play with perimenopause or the menopause. So one of my philosophies in life in general is you're never too old for anything. It really frustrates me when people go, oh, I'd like to still be doing X, but I'm too old. You're not too old for anything that you want to do, and BDSM is absolutely no exception. 25, 30 years ago when I started going to clubs, the clubs were full of people like 40-ish was the youngest you would usually see there, and I was there as an 18-year-old who had just got into it all, and I was definitely considered by the others far too young to understand about it all and a real anomaly in the clubs. As the internet has become more of a thing, it's become more easier to get the information about going to events, so it's got a much wider age range now, but it's still always been a factor. The BDSM clubs will have plenty of people, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. So never feel that you're too old for practicing BDSM, for having fun, for having a great time with it all. And don't feel that if you want to go to a BDSM club that they're going to be like nightclubs in town to go out drinking full of kids. They're not. BDSM clubs have a wide range of ages of people going, and if you go to one particular club and you find that it's a much younger vibe, then just try a different club in a different place, because a lot of the BDSM clubs will have a wide range of ages, and it might have just been that particular club or that particular type of event that was put on that attracted a lot of younger people and made you feel a bit out of place for going. One of the main things as you get older is the physical ability to do absolutely everything that you could when you were younger. And this does, of course, apply to BDSM. So if you find that this is irritating you, then it's a bit more of a kick up the arse to actually bother to have a regular exercise regime and think about what you eat, because the healthier you are, the less that your age will impact on BDSM and your sex life, as well as on all other aspects of your life. But even if you are healthy and look after yourself, you are still going to find that in your 50s you can't quite bend into the flexible positions that you could for a hog tie when you were in your 20s. So do listen to your body, do be aware of what you physically can and cannot do, of how far you can move and stretch, and make sure that your play partner is aware of this before you begin a play session. So think about things in a sensible way. If you're going to do a bondage scene with lots of tight positions, think about doing a few stretches before you start. Think about having the positions not held for as long as you might have in the past, but it doesn't mean the play session has to end. It just means untie the rope and put your arm in a different position now, so that it's not in one position under high stress for a long period of time, but you keep changing positions every 15 minutes or something. And this can then leave different parts of your body open if the dominant is going to be doing things while you're tied up in the rope. More stressful positions for the body, like a hog tie, can still be possible, but instead of using just a small bar with the hog tie clips, just add a couple of extra trigger clips onto the end of the hog tie to extend it. And that gives you that bit of flexibility so it doesn't pull the shoulders back in quite the same way that they were. Think about cushions and knee pads. If you're going to be in positions on the floor, kneeling, and your knees can't take it like they could have in their 20s, then just make the dominant aware, have a cushion or knee pads that you can use to kneel to make it more comfortable. The more you can tell the dominant before the scene begins about what limitations your body has, the more they can adapt the play during, and then it won't feel like you're having to top from the bottom or being bratty saying, oh, my knees really hurt, I need to come out of this position. It means that the dominant has that power at the start to think, right, okay, I want to have them on their knees, so I'm going to make sure it's on a softer surface and I've got that cushion ready that I can specifically tell them you're going to kneel on this cushion in front of me, so then it doesn't feel like the submissive is having to ask for those things mid-scene. So if you've got a regular play partner, then I still am a great advocate of having a short discussion before every play session, regardless of how many times you've played, just so that you've got that little space just to mention where your head is at, and also physically if there's any things that are going to impact on the play that day. And certainly if it's someone that you haven't played with before or you don't play with very often, then having that pre-scene negotiation to not only talk about, oh, I'm really in the mood for this, or this would be really sexy, or I'd really enjoy this type of play, but also to physically say, my shoulder's been aching a bit this week, so I need to not have it in a position where you're going to tie that back in a really strict position, or I'm finding that it's harder on my knees to get up and down the stairs at the moment, so please can we have a cushion if I'm going to kneel in front of you for any period of time. To just have that time and that space to talk about those kind of things rather than just getting het up in talking about all the sexy, fun, kinky details of what you want to do. As you get older, it can be more of a likely that you're going to be on various medications. These are also something that is important to mention to the dominant, whether they're a regular play partner or someone out at club that you've just met. It's good for the dominant to be aware of what medications you're on, and if they don't know anything about them, for them to ask questions about the medications. So a lot of things might cause blood thinning, and that's really important to know if you're going to do any kind of impact play during the scene, so then the dominant can be more aware of watching the body and how it's reacting, and knowing that it might respond differently to other people that they've played with the same kind of toys. Everyone's body reacts differently anyway, but medication can heighten those effects. And again, it doesn't mean that you can't do a really intense impact play scene, but it might be more of a case of going a bit gentler the first time, or when you're newly on medication, knowing that next time you can build into things once you've all been able to be aware of how your body is going to react to those things. For the dominant as well, think about the tools that you're going to use that are more comfortable for you. So you might find that you want lighter floggers that then they're not going to put as much strain on your arms and your shoulders when you're using them. So maybe you need to go for ones that have a slightly more intense sensation on them, so that you don't need that heavy flogger that you used to play with to get reactions out of the submissive. Or having a couple of lighter floggers that then you can combine in one hand for a heavier hit when you want a heavier, thuddier hit, gives you more flexibility in the toys that you're using than one flogger that's really heavy all the time. So in all the things that you're going to play with, have a think about the practical side of the toys, the equipment. There's plenty of ways to adapt things out there so that you can still do most of the play that you used to before, regardless of your age, but being aware of slightly different toys, slightly adapting things, different positions and seeing what works and what is more comfortable, and the submissive remembering as well that safe words are there not to shame you if you use them, but they might just be necessary to say, actually, this is making my arm really tingly. And that's really important to let the dominant know, because whatever your age, a tingly arm, tingly part of your body in bondage needs releasing before that turns into any kind of nerve damage. On the plus side, the older you get, the more aware you usually are of yourself, your mind, your body, your interests, your likes, your dislikes. And you generally have more confidence. These doesn't apply in all situations, so for some people that is not the case, but for a lot of people, it does mean that they have a greater awareness of themselves. They've got more experience of themselves, what they like, what they dislike on the kink scene, what kind of scenes they've enjoyed in the past, what they haven't enjoyed, the kind of people that they like to play with and don't like to play with, the clubs they like to go to. So the older you get, the more you're likely to be aware of things and be able to actually have a really good time on the BDSM scene. The less likely you are to worry about what everybody else is doing and what everybody else is thinking about your outfit. You'll generally feel less pressure to be performing for other people in a way. Like in your 20s, you're worried about what everybody else is thinking, and you're so new to everything, you're so inexperienced, that you can actually find the older you get, the better time you have going to the clubs and the more enjoyment you have in BDSM. Also, for a lot of people, if you've got children, by the time you're reaching your 50s, 60s, they've left home. So it's a lot easier to play with BDSM. And that's definitely one reason that you see older couples on the BDSM scene, because they no longer have to worry about babysitters. They don't have to worry about their kids going into their bedroom and finding their kink collection and having to explain what's going on. So they've got a lot more freedom to be themselves and to not worry about other people, family members, finding out as easily as they used to when the kids still lived at home. So don't feel that just because you're older that you should be giving up BDSM. You definitely shouldn't. Don't feel that because you're getting older you can't do all the fun stuff anymore. There are definite things to listen to your body a little bit more, to be aware of, to adapt certain things. But there's never an age where you are too old for BDSM. It's just being more aware and conscious and keeping things safe and negotiating with your partner. I have played with many 80-year-olds in my time, and the main things I've had to do is make sure that I change bondage positions with them more often, give them more things like cushions to make things more comfortable, to not put them in such stress positions as I would someone younger, to watch their body more when I'm doing impact play, because the skin is thinner, the blood is thinner, so they're more likely to cut and bruise quicker and for those marks to last for longer. But that doesn't mean that you can't do any of the things. It just means be aware of your body, aware of yourself, and to remember to just have fun with it.